Hey, it's John Nemo. I'm so excited that you're here because I am fully obsessed with LinkedIn. In fact, I've been doing this since 2012, helping clients generate leads using LinkedIn. I've spoken at a bunch of big conferences, been featured in the New York Times, all kinds of places. LinkedIn has featured me on their official blog, Inc. magazine. So I'm really known around the country for doing this. But more importantly, I'm a huge goofball. So if you don't want to have fun, if you do not want to partner with a vendor that will bring you nonstop leads on LinkedIn, who also loves to have a good time, then we shouldn't work together, right? So here I am playing Star Wars with one of my boys years ago. I am the Stormtrooper, got the popcorn bucket on my head. I love Zubaz. They are coming back. If you remember the 1980s and early 90s, Zubaz pants were all the rage. I'm wearing mine until they come back. That's my theory. Anyway, obviously I'm obsessed with LinkedIn to the point where I have a license plate that says LinkedIn. So all that said, of course, it's more about results and obviously understanding you as a franchise consultant and what you need. So real quick, just looking at, results, and all this is available on our website, Nemo Media Group, but really understanding, with franchise consultants in particular, we've had a ton of success. So this is Bob Renatus, who's generated over 6 figures in new clients working with us, talking about how high quality the leads are. And I'm going to show you our whole process in a second. This is Wes Barefoot, another franchise consultant who within, I think, the first 2 weeks of working with us, got a 6-unit sale with I think it was a $96,000 commission. And he's got a video on here. And obviously we've worked with tons of other people in coaching and consulting and different spaces, small business owners, and feel free to peruse these however you like. Some big names like Bob Berg and Chris Brogan and John Lee Dumas, and then just everyday business owners, all kinds of folks, and obviously lots and lots of franchise consultants too. So with all that said, I want to really highlight for you kind of what we have seen work best in the franchise consultant space, and then really kind of you can decide if our approach is, what you're looking for. So literally too, I wrote an entire book on this called LinkedIn Lead Generation for Franchise Consultants. If you haven't gotten a free copy already, let us know. I can send you the PDF for free. You can also buy it on Amazon if you want a paper book. But this book is also filled with, all the secret sauce and ideas and strategies and templates and things like that too. So you can really kind of understand what we do and how we do it and why it works and see examples and all that too. And again, I have an entire book on it because really understanding every niche is unique on LinkedIn. And you really have to understand what is needed as a franchise consultant, how to stand out from the crowd, and how your LinkedIn strategy is different than just buying leads or buying lists or things like that, right? So let me walk you through, because it's a very simple 3-step process that we've seen work well for franchise consultants. Step 1, obviously, is optimizing your profile on LinkedIn. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of different consultants we've worked with and kind of showcase, what we do when we rewrite your profile. Now, I should say this, you get me, right? So when you work with Nemo Media Group, you literally get me, the guy that's written all the books, the guy in all the videos, the guy that does all the speaking, all the content. If you do our done for you service, I personally do it. So I have a team that works with me, all US-based contractors, project managers, implementers, things like that do the heavy lifting. But as far as your strategy, the copywriting, everything is me personally doing it for you. So you get John. That's one of the, advantages of working with us is I don't work with a ton of clients. I'm pretty picky about who I work with. So that's the first thing is when we work with you, I'm going to interview you for quite a while, for an hour or two, really understand you, your business, what makes you different and better. And then I'm going to have that come through on LinkedIn. So with Carrie Ann Golliver, one of the things was she had all this social proof. So I'll get on my drawing tool. You can see she's been featured in all these big networks and has a really strong national brand. So we led with that. That was her thing. You can talk about that here, franchise matchmaker, right? And really narrowing in on who her audience is. And then it's a different example, a different client, Bill Helton, right? So he has been doing this for over 25 years. And what was unique about Bill was he's been a franchisee. And then he's worked on the other side as a franchisor, as an area developer, right? He helped run a franchisor company. So really understanding with Bill what makes him unique and different and better, as opposed to Carrie Ann, as opposed to you, as opposed to someone else. And the key thing is, there's a million different franchise consultants. So how do you stand out on LinkedIn? Well, the first thing is your profile. So we're going to really look at, again, I'll interview you and then I'm going to write all this. And I have a graphics team that creates all this. My graphic designer who did these does stuff for Martha Stewart and the New York Yankees. So I use very high-end creative talent where I need it. But what we do is we do like a custom header for you, and then we're gonna, really optimize your profile page to really make it appeal to your ideal prospects, your ideal clients, and make it super clear. What do you do? Franchise consulting. Who's it for? Investors, executives, and entrepreneurs. And then, what makes you unique, different, and better. And then obviously I do a real specific approach. If you've read any of my books or anything like that, this is how I like to do profiles. What I do, what makes me unique, my story, what clients say, my style, no fees, right? Ready to talk. I like to use these mini headlines and make it very client facing so it's not a resume, but really understanding here's what I do. I help these types of people get these types of results, by providing customized franchise consulting. This is key, right? And this is me interviewing you. What makes me unique? What makes me different, right? And so for Bill, it was spending 25 years in every key industry role. For Carrie Ann, when we went down to her profile, what makes her unique was really understanding she has over 20 years experience, and she literally grew her local family business into one of the biggest, franchises around, and actually got acquired by Ace Hardware. So she started a local handyman business in Denver, Colorado, with her brother-in-law, and got it and franchised it herself and learned the ropes how to self-franchise. Got acquired by Ace Hardware. Now, obviously, has pivoted out as a full-time franchise consultant. So you can see, right, all these different things. And with Carrie, right, where you've seen her, she's got all the social proof and credibility, the services that she's providing. And I like to do a lot of visual kind of emojis, instead of just bullet points, what others say. So you've got these great, client stories away from work so they can get to know you a little bit on what you're, love to do for fun. And so we really take a close eye to your profile, and I really optimize it and rewrite it all. So that's step one. And, you can look at these examples. They're in the ebook. You can look at Bill's profile or Carrie's, etc., right? And really get a good sense of how we're going to do this, how we're going to make you unique, different, and better than the competition. Because, that's the key thing, right? Everyone has a story. Everyone has an example. So step one is really optimizing your profile. Step two is we're going to use LinkedIn's built-in search to find your ideal prospects. And what we do is we have you sign up for Sales Navigator, and we do all this using your personal profile. So it's not your company page. It's not anything else. I literally, rewrite your profile for you, and then we use your personal profile plus Sales Navigator to go in and build lists of all your ideal prospects, because there are over 1 billion with a B people on LinkedIn. We need to know, who do you want to go after, right? Who's your target audience? Who's your exact pitch perfect person? Based on interviewing you, where you've already had success, we're going to know that, and we're going to, really hone in on that. And obviously, this is the power with LinkedIn of knowing everything about everyone, where they live, where they work, what role they have, how many years they've been in their job. So we can really build these kind of custom lists and, match them to your profile. Then what we do after that is we reach out and use one-on-one messaging. The real money on LinkedIn is in the mailbox. It's all in here. It's all in personalized one-on-one messaging. You don't need to do everything else. You don't need to do tons of content and status updates, and you don't need to do all this stuff. It's great, it's nice, it's wonderful, but you don't have to do it, right? So like, here's one of our clients, Wes Barefoot. He's doing it and doing fine and doing great with it, but you don't have to. Like, it's nice to have, and if you want to do it, that's awesome. And Wes happens to be a content machine, so he can put tons out, but you don't have to. That's not what is going to end up moving the needle. What really moves the needle on LinkedIn for Wes Barefoot and all our other clients is the personalized one-on-one messaging. And what we do in this step is we literally reach out to 200 to 300 people a day with one-on-one messages, invitations, emails, group messages, all sorts of different methods. And we reach out to 200 to 300 people a day, and then we track every single conversation. So for example, this is Wes's engagement tracking sheet, and we do all this behind the scenes. Now, we do all this for you. So literally, we know what message the person responded to, when they responded, did they accept an invite, did they book a call, did they want free content, and then we chase them 5, 6, 7, 8 times until we either get a yes or a no. Because as you know, the fortune is in the follow-up, and it takes a lot of back and forth and bantering and chasing until someone wants to book a call. And then we've got all these notes, right? They want to talk, they booked a call, they ask for more information, we have their phone number and their email and all that good stuff. And then obviously when we do this for you, we have all kinds of data so we can see and analyze what's working, what's not working, what content are they most interested in, right? What are the percentages of replies and everything? And the big thing is, and understanding one-on-one messaging, it's not to be pushy and spammy and just try to book calls. Like, we want to qualify people first, right? That's the number one thing, is we want to qualify your leads. The way that we qualify your leads is we don't try to marry anyone on the first date with LinkedIn. When we do all the one-on-one messaging and outreach, we're using content as currency to qualify people. So let me give you an example. The number one thing that we do for franchise consultants is I write an ebook for you. I interview you, and then I write a 2,000 to 3,000 word ebook, and then my graphic designer will lay it all out. So here's Carrie Ann Golliver. Here's her story. I wrote the whole ebook, right? I start with a great line, right? Some good storytelling. I just figured my brother-in-law had too much wine during dinner. Instead, the phrase he blurted out changed my life. So I'm going to write it all. I have this experience. I've written 8 books. I'm a former journalist with the Associated Press. So I interview you, and then I write a story in your voice. And what we're going to do is really tell your story in the form of an ebook. So it's going to be your career journey, what you've done, where you've been. And in Carrie Ann's case, it was starting her own family, handyman business out of a basement in Denver, Colorado, and then franchising it herself and scaling it to the point where Ace acquired them, right? And it's now a franchise, that people use all over the world. So again, this is the whole idea, is telling stories, photos of you, kind of really helping people get to know, like, and trust you, what makes you unique and different, what your journey has been to date in franchising. If you've got client stories, we're going to put those in. Really understanding in this ebook what makes you unique, different, better. And we use this in messaging. So we basically reach out to 200 to 300 people a day and offer them your ebook. And that's where the conversation starts. And if they say yes, they're interested in the ebook, then we follow up and say, well, what did you think of the ebook? Did you find it helpful? And if they say, well, I haven't read it yet, I'm going to get to it on Friday, or on Monday, then we'll follow up on Monday. We'll make a note in here and follow up on Monday and say, hey, did you get to the ebook over the weekend, or did Netflix get in the way? Haha, right? So it's a very detailed, personalized approach. It's very conversational. It's permission-based. We're not spamming people. We're not going to try to book a call with someone until they have read your ebook and said, yes, I liked it, and here's what's resonated, and I want to learn more. How does your process work? I've always been curious. I want to learn about franchising. So we're qualifying people a couple of different ways. We're qualifying them in Sales Navigator, really understanding based on their job title, whatever it might be, the role they have. We know they're your exact ideal type of prospect on paper as far as their corporate role or whatever it might be. Maybe they're a multi-unit franchise owner. Maybe they're an investor. Whoever your audience is, they're qualified there. And then part 2 is we're going to qualify them with your content. So like this was a great example for a franchise consultant in Houston, where again, her whole thing was Houston. Like Houston, we have a solution. So Houston Astros colors, right? Houston skyline. She was hyper focused on Houston gas and oil executives. So that was her ebook. Okay. And then I'll show you, I think I have Bill Helton's in here as well, right? So Bill, again, his whole thing was 25 years behind the scenes, starting and scaling and servicing and selling franchises. So you really get the whole story here. And with Bill, again, I interview you and I write the whole story. So Bill, he almost missed it, right? And if his boss hadn't burst into his office in a panic, Bill never would have been there, right? And Bill's whole thing was that familiar thing of he was trapped in a corporate job, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And, finally was like, I'm missing my kids' childhoods. I'm not getting to coach their sports. I don't want to miss another birthday party. So he makes this leap of faith, quits his safe corporate job and owns a franchise and has success and learns the ropes of franchising the hard way. And now years later, right, he has pivoted out of that and now is a franchise consultant. Bill also worked with all these different franchisors. So he was an area developer and he actually awarded franchises because the franchise he worked with, he was so successful as a franchisee, they brought him in to actually help run the corporate office. So again, your unique story, your unique journey, we're going to be putting that into an ebook, really qualifying people with content. That's the next phase. Then we will track every single conversation. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations. And we're going to go back and forth with people until they read your content, until they look at your LinkedIn profile, and until they say, yeah, you know what, this really resonates. I loved your story. I loved your ebook. This sounds like something I'm looking for or want to explore. Can we talk? And when they say that, then we're going to book them for you as a qualified lead. And what that boils down to, people always want to know, well, how many leads is that going to be? Or like, how is it 100 calls a week, 5 calls a week, 10 calls a week? So with this whole process, what we typically see across the board, I would say, is 3 to 5 qualified calls per week. Meaning, they're your exact ideal prospect on paper, like they fit all the boxes you're looking for in a qualified prospect. So we've already found those people on LinkedIn. We further qualified them by talking to them with one-on-one messages. We've also qualified them with your content. They've read your content. They liked it. They know you now. They know your story. They know your journey. And they've raised their hand and said, I want to learn more. So it's a very detailed process as far as lead qualifying. Again, and we'll have all this for you. We'll be booking the calls. We'll track it. We'll do all the spreadsheets. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go into your inbox. You don't have to answer messages or at all. This is all done for you. So if that's something you want to do, obviously then we can talk more. But that's really kind of, at a very high level view, how all this works is step 1, we really optimize and rewrite your LinkedIn profile. I do it personally. Step 2, we create a really compelling ebook that features you and your story and authentic photos of you so they get to know, like, and trust you. Again, I'll write it all based off an interview with you. And then once we have those done, then we go out and we do that one-on-one messaging to 200 to 300 people a day. Anyone that shows interest or says, yeah, send me the free tips, send me the ebook, send me the content, we then follow up with, we track, we chase, we engage until they say they're interested and want to talk. Like, so here's an example. Said they're interested in 3 to 6 months. So we will follow up in 3 to 6 months, right? And then move on to the next conversation. And all this will boil down to, for you, probably around 3 to 5 kind of really qualified calls per week. Now, obviously, we don't do any of the selling for you, so you'll take care of that. But that's really how our approach works at a high level, and it's done really well for consultants. The key reasons it works so well is everything's custom. Everything is personalized. I am literally writing it all in your voice so that it sounds like how real life Bob Bernatis talks or how real life Wes Barefoot talks. Like, how do you explain yourself? What's your story? I'm going to use photos of you. Because again, that's what gets through on LinkedIn is authenticity. So for example, with Bill Helton, his big thing was, listen, people need to know I'm a facilitator. I'm not a sales guy. Like, I'm not here. I get bombarded every day on LinkedIn. I don't want people feeling like when they get a message from me, I'm spamming them, right? And we want to make that very clear in Bill's messaging, his profile, that, listen, Bill's here to help. He's, does educating, he's teaching, and then that way people can kind of get to know, like, and trust him as a guide before they go any further. Similar with Wes Barefoot, who has had a ton of success with us. I think he's got a line in there that he says is a no sales zone, right? That I wrote for him. So where does it go? No sales zone, right? And this is true about Wes. He's a teacher and a guide and a coach. So again, we really want to fit your personality, your style, your, custom approach. And it works incredibly well because of the volume we can do on LinkedIn of reaching out to 200 to 300 people a day, one-on-one personally. That helps us get enough volume out to find the people that respond positively. We use your content to warm them up and get to know you, and then we book the call. So if that's something you're interested in, if you want to learn more and you haven't already, I've got a form on my website. Let me see. And obviously you should have a link to it as well in this video, or it'll pop up at the end of the video. Fill out this type form real quick. There's a little video in the beginning of me getting all excited, jumping around, talking about my license plate. And then you just click the start button and it'll walk you through just some quick questions. I just need to know more about you and your situation and your target audience, because again, I don't work with everyone. So I want to make sure I'm confident I could help you depending on, what type of work you do as a franchise consultant, who you're going after, all those important things, your business model. And then if I think it's a good fit, obviously, then we can talk more. I've also got lots of do-it-yourself online courses, and we've got Done With You, where we can just rewrite your profile and things like that. So there's lots of options to work with us. And of course, all the different free materials, the book, and everything else. So thank you so much for watching this. Super excited to learn more about you. So if you haven't already, just fill out this type form here at the bottom or anywhere you see it in the video, and we'll get started and talk more soon.